Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time I put new content on. Loads of great guests to keep you going during this weird time when we have no football. You think you'll be used to it now, but I'm sort of clucking a little bit already. But it doesn't matter. Loads of great guests, including today's guest. You'll know him as the Boleyn Poet. It's Danny Fenn. Hi Danny, how you doing, man?
Thank you very much for having me on, Russ. I am a little bit nervous. I'm clucking, as you say. I'm clucking as well, mate. I won't rhyme nothing with clucking, no. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, just in case, don't get demonetised or something if you start, rhyming, clucking or anything else. But how's things with you, man? How you been the last few months?
I am all good, thank you.
Good.
Everyone probably knows, because I've let the world know, I've tried to pass on the message of cancer. I had cancer. I'm recovering from cancer. But I've got a positive aspect on it. I've got poetry up in chemotherapy departments to inspire other cancer patients. So I'm doing well. And as I've explained to you off air, if I burp, there's nothing I can do about that. That's due to my illness. But that's what it is.
That's cool, man.
I'm back to work. I've just finished furlough.
Oh, brilliant.
And I'm loving life.
Good, fantastic. And obviously we're in the Premier League next year. So it's all going well.
Well, for me, that is all going well, because it could have been disastrous. We had some people saying, I would prefer us to go down. That's just madness, in my opinion. And it's always talking about opinions, but for me, that's madness. We could become Leeds, Nottingham Forest. All right, Leeds have now come back up, but we could end up stuck. Look at Sunderland.
No, exactly. You're totally right. And as always seems to happen with West Ham, typical, we start hitting some real form, and then the season ends. And so we're like, all right, see you in 6 weeks, bye-bye. And then we'll see what happens.
We looked good apart from the Man City game, where we took a bit of a thumping first game. Then suddenly we looked very good, didn't we? But we could have gone second or third. We went to Villa, and we could, I think it was either second or third. Everything was looking rosy in the Hammer household. Yeah. And then suddenly it all went wrong. We got beat by Oxford, and then I don't want to pick on individual players, but the goalie got injured. We ended up with another goalie who couldn't catch a proverbial cold, so to speak.
I know. And
he got man of the match recently, wherever he is now. He got man of the match.
Yeah, he did. It's crazy, isn't it? And I was reading yesterday that Atletico Madrid want to buy him. As a reserve for Oblak, who's arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the moment. I don't know what people see in some people.
But look at the fella Zaza, couldn't hit a barn door, and then he moved up and he scored. That just sums us up to a T. Through my sort of 41 years of following the club, that just sums us up. Everything you expect to happen, throw that out the window, because the complete opposite. And every time, as our song says, as soon as we think like our dreams are there, someone sticks a pin in our bubble and they burst, mate.
It's so true. It's so true.
Any other way. Would you want to be?
No.
Right, would you want to be Man City? I'd like to have a little bit of glory, but would you want to just buy everything that moves? Is that what it's all about? It's not for me.
No, it's not. And that's what I think. I mean, you know more than anyone, Danny. We're not in it for the football. We've backed the wrong horse if that's the case. But yeah, a little bit of success would be nice, just to keep people chirping along. I mean, obviously, the more experienced fans, I don't call them older fans, the more experienced fans, they had.
You're falling into that category.
Yeah, slightly, Danny. You had obviously the joys of obviously the mid '80s and the early '80s. I didn't start really going to West Ham until probably that '92 season. We went up, '92, '93, and so I've had the Intertoto Cup. We had that. We won that. Won European silverware. Yeah, exactly. And the FA Cup final, but that's been it really. So it'd be nice to win something, just to keep the younger generation interested, rather than listening to.
Them 3 years under Pardew, the cup final, the 2 playoffs. In my 40 years, they're 3 of the best years that I can remember. They're absolutely great. Going to Cardiff is a great experience.
Oh, brilliant!
And better than Wembley, a better day out than Wembley.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, just our luck. That ball fell to any man on earth. 4 minutes left in that final. When it fell to Gerrard, if any other man on earth would have skied that, and it fell to him, and I can just remember my young son, who's now a dad himself, going, he's going to score that. I'm sharp. Of course he ain't. Boom. And that just sums us up. And we're now, that was known, or is known as the Gerrard final.
Yeah, it's true.
We've got the Whitehall final. Again, we didn't win, but we're known for it. So
we'll be known for the Gerrard final. But you're right. And also, and don't forget in the last minute of extra time, that ball came across, and anyone apart from Marlon Harewood, who had 1 foot, do you know what I mean? I was there. I was right in front. That was the end. That was the end I was in, and I saw it. He just swing with his left foot. Oh, Marlon, bless you, bless you. But as you said, when your big rousing war song is about things fading and dying and bursting, you sort of set your stall out already, haven't you? To be honest,
it's a song that I love. I absolutely love when that's sung properly.
Yeah,
and I'll probably get shot for this. Liverpool sing their song, "You'll Never Walk Alone," absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
but I think ours is the anthem of anthems, because Liverpool share that with Celtic. I think Borussia Dortmund sing it as well.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, no one else sings Bubbles.
No, and you're right. And I think it's going to be a special moment whenever we get back to 60,000 at the London Stadium. When everyone's collectively together, because I think that's what people have missed. It's not the football, because most people have got a decent telly now, and if they come and got a Sky, they'll find a dodgy feed to find. You can find football, but it's the camaraderie and you know more than anyone. Probably all the messages of support. Yeah, it's a day out, isn't it? And it's seeing your mates, going to the pub, talking rubbish, and win or lose, you're back on the booze. That's basically the West Ham way. And
you've got it going there, haven't you? You're rhyming.
Well, it's all part of parcel. I'm feeling it through the video camera. I can feeling the sort of creative vibes coming back to me, so it's nice. But anyway, for you, Danny, obviously, who's the Boleyn poet, and I'm hoping there's a few poems in this episode.
There might be one, because otherwise I've got to start grabbing bits of paper and whatever. I would have liked to wrote one for you to just read that, a special one just for this morning, but unfortunately,
fine.
I did mention to you earlier, I had a very long work shift yesterday. I'm absolutely drained.
It's okay, don't worry, Danny. I won't hold it against you, honestly. Now, obviously, everyone knows you as the Boleyn poet, but obviously West Ham is
that is an honour when I'm out somewhere. Now, I'll just give a little thing. I've got the Boleyn poet t-shirt, as explained to you before we start.
Yeah.
I'm not posing in it, but it's an honour that a company that makes t-shirts sent me this free of charge as a t-shirt. And as I mentioned to you, sort of quite a few people said, I'll buy one, which again, for me, is a lovely tribute. People walking about with a t-shirt with a Boleyn poet on it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, when you think of it like that? And it's the same.
I carry very close to my heart. People say, I'm being a pub in Stratford. My mates go, here we go, because they'll clock someone spotted me, and we might go, here we go, big head time. And I just sort of stand there like, are you the Boleyn poet? And I say, I most certainly am, and I just love it. It's a connection to the football club that I love. Yeah. So, and it means that words I say hit people in the heart, which for me is what it's all about.
Of course, and you're right. It's that connection, isn't it? And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about having a connection, and particularly you with a connection with the Boleyn. But how did it all start, Danny? So why is West Ham your club? What's your? Everyone has a slightly different story. What's your story?
Yeah. So I first got taken in about, I can't remember the exact year, mid to the late 70s. I was born at the arse end of 67. So I was about 9 or 10, and I was back then not particularly a West Ham fan. I was a football fan. I liked footballers. I liked Kevin Keegan, Trevor Brooking. I just liked flair players, football, like players that were skillful. A brother-in-law took me. My sister got me a little bobble hat and scarf, and I got taken. And I admit, I stood in the West Side. The only one time I ever stood in the West Side, I didn't like it. I was a 9 or 10-year-old. Everyone was pushing, and I didn't enjoy it. And then someone got a ticket. A friend of a family got a ticket for the 1980 Cup final. Believe it or not.
Wow.
And so I was 12 and a half. And I didn't want to go because back then the FA Cup final was the biggest day of the year. Not like it is now.
No, yeah.
The league was a big thing, but the FA Cup from a fan's point, well, just from telly point of view, it was one of the very few games that was live on the telly. And it would start sort of 8:30 in the morning, ITV and BBC, you'd have it. It's a knockout with the players that was going to be playing would be doing arm wrestling, doing hurdles, tug of war. These were the players that was going to play that afternoon. And it would just be a big build-up for the cup. And I said to my mum, I don't want to go. And she said, they've been good enough to get you a ticket. I said, I'm not going, I'm watching it on the telly. And I got forced, literally thrown out the door, and it changed my life. It was the best. So I tagged along with this fella, Ron, who was a friend of the family, and all his mates. The last thing they wanted was this moody little Herbert.
Yeah.
Sort of, I don't want to go. And these are all grown men in their sort of mid to late 20s and 30s. And it just, we stood at the back of the old Wembley, and I just got overwhelmed. It was just something else.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of songs I remember. He's Only a Poor Little Gunner. That song was just echoing constantly. And then I just remember when we won, all these big fellas and the steps seemed huge at Wembley then, absolutely huge. And it was like watching people say about our new place being far from the pitch. It was like watching Subbuteo, but the atmosphere was unbelievable. And these big fellas just put me on their shoulder. I remember seeing everyone just singing, "We Want to Go." Hey, I had it. And I just patted Ron and I just kissed him. I said, "Thank you for bringing me Ron up." And that was it. I was West Ham. And I become a big West Ham fan. I've been everywhere.
Yeah. And that's fantastic. And it's lovely. And do you know what? It's quite funny because a couple of people have had that situation where they've got a ticket from the cup. It's like, how would this? Everyone seems to have a ticket for the cup final. It's like nowadays, like gold dust. Well, especially obviously this year, even more. But there's like gold dust. But there, it's like, oh yeah, my friend had a ticket and he gave it to me. It's like, what? Yeah. I remember.
I think it was only £3. £3 or £4 a ticket was for an FA Cup final. It might have been a fiver, but it was no.
Yeah, that's absolutely mental.
I would take that to now.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Just carry on a bit. My dad worked over there. Now he was universally known as Charlie Car Park. He worked at Upton Park. Now his ashes are now in the memorial. Do you know there's a little memorial by a tree by the gate? He was known because that was his car park. So getting the players in, players out. If anyone wanted an autograph, he'd say, "Yeah, I'll come in, son," and he'd call one of the players over. And he was there for years. My mum worked there. She worked initially in the hospitality. What year was you born?
1981.
I'm guessing it would have been about 84, 85, something like that. The original corporate bit, it was just a little cabin where you used to have the little club shop, which was a cabin, and then you had a little corporate bit. My mum worked in there, and then when I was 16, my dad, in the pre-set, Charlie, my stepdad, he said to me, "Do you want to come over in the pre-season and paint the turnstile, the crash barriers, the toilet?" Oh, it was like heaven. I was being allowed in Upton Park, and I think I got, I don't know, a tenner a day. So yeah, I flew in there, and I met a couple of people, and what they'd do, so now the pitches are like carpet. Back then, the pitches was like patches of mud, and each pre-season they'd seed it, and then the pigeons would just stand down and eat all the seeds. So my Charlie and another fella, I don't know if you remember a fella called Nobby that used to work there on the maintenance.
Sounds familiar.
Well, he was there forever. He passed away about 3 years ago, but Nobby worked there from the early 80s till pretty much till we moved to the new place. So he was a proper old stalwart of the place. But they would sit in the west side with a gun each, shooting the pigeons with an air rifle. I'd be under a crash barrier, painting, all some bang! I'd jump up and bang the head, and these two grown men got one. But it was a losing battle because the pigeons ate all the seeds and the pitch was forever like a mud bath, to be honest with you.
Oh, fantastic.
And then,
I love stuff like that. And
then I carried on. I then got a job there when the hotel opened. Originally started off washing up and sort of progressed to front of house. And I've done absolutely. There wasn't a job I didn't do there. I was Father Christmas. I've done tours for people, absolutely everything. And I'm now a bus driver.
Well, there you go. You've and also a poet. Don't forget the poetry.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Because that's
that come about, and the name the Boleyn Poet. I just used to write songs on the guitar, blah blah blah, and I used to play them to people in the late 80s, early 90s. And there was a Facebook page, probably I don't know 6-7 years ago, and people was talking, and I was quoting lyrics from a song that I wrote, which only mates really heard, and I was doing it line by line and saying it, and then I even done the chorus. I went, how do you all remember that? They said to me, Dan, your words was brilliant, but your singing voice was absolutely terrible. And I said, all right. And they went, it was actually like poetry. And I thought about it, and I dug out all my old songbook, and I thought, you know what, these are actually poems.
Yeah.
But just was very badly sung. So my missus said to me, post one up. And I made the mistake of posting a poem on a proper poetry page where these people was not my sort of people. Now I put this poem up, and I went to work, come home, and all these people obliterated me. Do you not know what a verb is? Did you not go to school? They had my missus told me. I went, look at that. She said I was good. Like, she went, well, you are. She said, you posted on a poetry page. These are all la-di-da people. They're looking for the sky is blue and Harry, you get up and floating clouds. That's not what you are. You're more a street poet. She said, put a West Ham one up, which I did, and I was getting messages from people that emigrated to Australia 20 years ago. They said, you've just made me cry, mate. You've just took me on a journey. Blah, blah. And I thought, this is my audience. And then people called me the Dagenham poet, the West Ham poet. And someone said, no, the Boleyn poet. And I thought, you know what? Yes. And then people started nicking me poems and claiming them as their own, which is very upsetting. It's a compliment in a way, but it can be quite upsetting because they come from the pit of, literally the pit of my heart. Sometimes I can make myself cry. I can write things. Some people might say, it's that bad, that's why you make yourself cry, Dan. But no, if something comes from the very pit of your being, and then suddenly someone else posts it and put their name under it, but it becomes to a point where a lot of people know, and they'd say, no, that's Danny Fenn's, mate. Why? And then, so people said, you need to add that Boleyn Poet thing to keep it, which is what I've done, and it stuck. And as I say, I'm honoured when people say to me, just seeing it on the screen now, the Boleyn Poet, for me, that's an honour.
Yeah.
Truly, it's an honour.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, as you said, that's what you're known for, and I think, you know, traditions and things like that are just so important, and I think that's what I think people have missed in since lockdown is you said, doing the same things, going to the same pubs and listening, and I think the poetry definitely has helped keep people together. You know, I mean, you know it, you know, same as everyone, more than anyone, you know, on the Facebook pages and stuff like that. The West Ham family's been out in force since lockdown, even more so, and you know, a lot of people have had really rough times since it, and the banter and stuff like that has kept everyone going. And it does.
A lot of people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
There's so much going wrong with the world at this moment, and all I've tried to do with my poetry, I just try to just give people a little lift.
Yeah.
Some of it can be quite gloomy, but I always try to end positive, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll just read a poem before we started. Are you all right for me to just...
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll have a poem.
Right. Now, I did do it spot on earlier. I'm hoping now we're live. Right, you ready, Dan?
Go for it.
Right. Now, this is called E13, and I'm going to read it exactly as I explained to you earlier. They tend to just fall out of me. This is called E13. Now, you've got the Bernabeu, the Nou Camp, and the San Siro in Milan. But E13, the bowling ground, for me, is where it all began. That place was like a church to us. It was where we'd come to pray, where we'd sing our favourite hymns and watch our heroes play. Walking out the station, the smells, the sight, the sound, twinkle-toeing like Alan Devonshire to avoid the old shit on the ground. A bacon sarnie from Ken's who helped us hold the beer. You'd pay your programme seller and then you'd hear the North Bank cheer. You'd spot the tickets out, you'd buy any spares for cash. You'd pop into Nathan's for a double pie and mash. Join the queue to the South Bank and it was knees up Mother Brown and Brooklyn drives from side to side. King Bobby wore his crown. The rolled up sleeves of Bonzo and Paolo's fancy tricks, the grace of Ian Bishop and a thunderbolt from Dick's. Days at Upton Park, they're sadly now all finished, but our ghosts and all our heroes, they can never be diminished. 1-0 to the Cockney boys. You'd hear the fateful cry. Long live the bowling. Our dreams won't fade and die. I recently made a pilgrimage to say one final prayer. There's only dust and memories. Upton Park, she's no longer there. But I'll always remember at her best. Midweek under lights, she was atmospherically electric. She was one of football's finest sights. Now you've got the Theatre of Dreams and Wembley. That's the Owen Road. But E13, the bowling ground, will always be our own. Have that.
Have it. Love it, man. It's lovely. Lovely stuff.
I think I got about 12 lines out of that because there's a few vulgarities in there. So I've done well. I've actually done well to do that.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, it's very good. No, like, that's awesome. I think it's brilliant. I love the way that people do that. Like you know, you take something which is West Ham, and by making a poem out of it, it's really funny. It's sort of not the. Yeah, and it's like it's really funny. It sort of legitimizes it all because you've made it as a poem. It's a bizarre thing, but I can't really explain it. But it's when someone creates something out of it creates, you know, whether it is, you know, a poem, or I've had artists on here as well, urban artists and people like that, and they create something that's West Ham but in art form. It legitimizes West Ham to me. It's like, you know, it's incredible, man. But
some of my teachers could see, because I was a nightmare at school. I couldn't string 2 words together. And I've actually got one ex-teacher, Mrs. Goodwin, who comments constantly, and she says, "Oh, Daniel, where did these words come from? Because this wasn't the Daniel I used to sort of give the cane for not listening." Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, I love that. No, I love it, and you're right. It's sometimes funny how things develop in later life, isn't it? It's but obviously, you know, because West Ham meant so much to you that the poetry just flew out, and that's obviously the catalyst for what you've become in terms of the Boleyn Poet. Now, you mentioned in there some players, and that's the whole idea of
unfortunately, and I feel bad, but none of them are actually in it.
Brilliant.
Oh, no, a couple of them are.
Okay.
Bobby Moore, I didn't quite see Bobby Moore play live. I only see him play for Fulham. So, obviously, if we was... Yeah. I've seen you say this comment a few times in the video. If we all picked an all-time Hammers 11, they'd all pretty much... It'd be pointless because we'd all pick the same 11, whether we've seen them or not.
Exactly. So, you would do.
Who you've seen live. And unfortunately, I never got the privilege of seeing King Bobby playing. So
no, exactly, and you're right. You're right. It's one of those things where that's why I put it in, because when I first started coming up with the idea, and I spoke to a few people. I spoke to people like Gonzo, Hammers Chat, and people like that, and he was like, "Nah, it's not going to catch on because it would be boring after 10 episodes." But by putting that caveat in, and actually I've got to thank Gonzo for giving me that bit of advice, because it really sort of went, yeah, okay. By putting that caveat in, it means you get loads of different people, different teams. I think we've had about 170 different players have come out, and you get randoms, and also because we're interviewing different people from different levels of their fan journey, you know, like a lot of the American Hammers, for example, they've only been fans for 4 or 5 years, and so you get a different perspective. And as you said, you know, but we interview people who were fortunate enough to see Bobby play, or even play with Bobby, people like Jeff Pike and stuff like that, you know. So it's great that we get this cross section. And
Jeff Pike,
yeah,
if I could pick subs, would be on one of my subs. I love Jeff Pike and I love Georgie Parrish, 2 players, but while there are on their sleeve, so underrated, but this is my all-time 11.
Yeah.
But if I could pick subs, Jeff Pike would be there.
Yeah,
Georgie Parrish and even Kevin Keane. A lot of these players that sort of went under the radar. So
yeah, totally. You're right, and they did go under the radar, and that's why I quite like doing this. That's why I like doing this, because some players go under the radar. You go, oh God, I forgot about him. He was a player, you know. It's like, and now you've got now we had the time to go back and look at the end of season reviews to go, yeah, he was a good player. You're right there. You know, it might be. I don't know. Obviously, as I said, my sort of time frame was probably the early 90s onwards, 92. So like even like Alvin was at the end of his career, so I don't remember, you know. But people like Tim Breaker and people like, you know, I was a massive fan of.
Just briefly, Tim Breaker. When I had my old flat with my ex-wife, my old house, sorry.
Yeah.
My stepdad was still working there at the time, and he said, "Do you want a new stair carpet?" I said, well, it was Tim Breakers, and it was luscious. It was luscious, this lovely green carpet. I'm completely off the key there, I know. But people used to come round, I'd say, have a look at my stair carpet. This is Tim Breakers. And I'd get everyone to look at the stairs, that was Tim Breakers.
There was another story where, it's going to annoy me now, whoever I interviewed, and they had Joe Cole's toilet in their house because his uncle was a plumber and he was doing Joe's house, and he said, "I'm going to throw it. Do you want Joe Cole's toilet?" And he went, "Yeah, all right." So he goes to Joe Cole's toilet all the time in his house.
Is it all plumbed in?
Yeah. He plumbed it back in. So he has a shit where John. Where it's going to really annoy me now. So it comes with a comment on it, but yeah, it was really funny, and I love that's the whole point of this channel. It's these little stories, these little anecdotes. Everything's individual, and like as you said, having Tim Breaker's chair carpet in your old flat, in your old house, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, and he's a lovely bloke as well. I've interviewed him, and Tim Breaker is, and he was one of those players that I didn't necessarily. I don't remember when I was a kid because he was just always there, and he, obviously when you're a kid, it's all about who's scoring the goals, and and going back and watching it, I actually apologised to him on the video. And Tim, I'm really sorry. I never really rated you when you was playing for West Ham, but I was only like 10 now. And he went, "Oh no, cheers, mate. It's like, but I imagine a lot of people are the same. It's like he was always on the team sheet, wasn't he? And
that was down that right hand side constantly. He was a solid defender.
He was proper.
And for me, he gave everything. And all I asked, put on that shirt. Now we've had some lazy sobs during the time. Come for money. Again, mentioning no names. But if you used to drag 11 fellas out of the stand and say, look, we're going to give you 90 minutes, wear this shirt, I'll tell you what, they might not be the most skillful, but you would get 1,000%. You might get beat 50-0. But these 11 blokes out of the stand would put that shirt on and think, I'm going to kiss this shirt, and I actually mean it. Because there's nothing winding up more bloke giving it that, and then 2 weeks later he's gone.
Yeah. But that's football now, isn't it? Unfortunately, that is football now, isn't it? It's like the bygone age of the Alvin Martins and Billy Bonds, and someone like Mark Noble is the exception to the rule now. 20 years ago, everyone had played. Would play 10 years at a club and have a testimonial. But again, anyway. Let's get on to the team. Who's going to be in goal for the Danny 11?
I'm pretty sure it's pretty straightforward. It could have been Ludo. Ludo was a great keeper and a great fella. But it's big field for me. You take his hand in doctor, and I know through Marie's daughter, it's his birthday soon. He's 70th birthday. It's not today, is it? What's the day today? I did pen a little poem for him. I haven't got it here. I'm not going to bore you with it. Beautiful. I'll send it to her to give to him for his birthday. Safe as house. He's a gentleman. I've got a bit of air envy from him because he's still got a lovely barnet. And I've been told for like 10 years, and my mum also fancied Phil Parks as well. So my mum's no longer here. That's a strong link. I know it's a silly thing, but
no, not at all.
He was a truly safe as houses.
Yeah, he was, and you're right. And he's when I spoke to Marie when we interviewed the other day, Phil's growing the mullet back for the 70th. He's growing it back, and it's like, oh, awesome. And I've got it on camera. We recorded it. When everything sorts itself out, we are doing. We're going to interview Phil in the bar because he's got a beautiful bar in his house, and Marie's promised me, and Marie's going to be watching this because she watches them all, and I'm holding you to that, Marie. So don't worry about that. But
it's very entertaining because I've been to a couple of events where he's the mate.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Very, very funny man.
All that lot are though. All that generation, that era of player. They could all hold their own. They could all compare an event, and I'm not going to go into.
One I went to, they played bubbles through the speaker. This was in the Romford, I forget what it's called, some club in Romford. You had the 1980 Cup final team. Paul Allen was there, which I was surprised that he turned up. Fair play to the fella. But they played bubbles, all the crowd singing it, and every player sung it. And I just can't imagine the players maybe know it.
No, maybe Noble,
No, Noble, definitely. I'm a very big Noble fan. He gets a lot of abuse, but for me, Noble. But anyway, again, I've gone off completely off track. But players like that, they're West Ham and they're honorary West Ham, and you get a lot of people that come with their badge, and it means nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's just
it actually hurts me. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but yeah, you're right. I mean, you know, I mean, those events are always good fun. We, I mean, obviously, you know, you mentioned Robertford. I live in Hornchurch, so down the Queens, they do it all the time. You know, so it's like, well, they did do it all the time, but yeah, let's see what happens now. But right, Big Phil is in. I was watching Canning Town Len's film the other day again, the old Everyone's Second Team on Amazon Prime, and. It's just such an incredible story when you think about, you know, if you put it in today's money, you know, when he signed for us, it's like a championship going and buying Kepa, you know, the world's most expensive goalkeeper. It's just bizarre.
But he came,
and
he became our keeper.
Yeah, for many years.
He is a legend. The man's a living legend.
Yeah, very true. Right, Parksy's in. Let's go left back. Who we have on the left back?
Well, I did say you
do whatever you want. Well, do whatever you want. Go on.
You're not being so rigid, so I'm only going to do a back three because I feel this.
No probs.
Wouldn't even need a left back or a right back because it was so sort of good. So I'd have Alvin bang in the middle.
Yeah.
Our honorary scouser Alvin bang in the middle because it looked after anyone. To be honest with you, only run through a wall for us, and well, I couldn't say more about having Alvin Martin in the middle of the defence.
Yeah.
Even if I could go back and have Bobby Moore, and I had seen him, I would still have Alvin Martin next to him.
Yeah, definitely, and again, you know, that's why I like watching those sort of retrospective films and stuff. You know, listening about Alvin's story and how he got in and how, you know, John Lyle played him up front to start with, but, you know, and all that story I don't know, so it was great to listen to it. And
he did score an hat-trick once, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. 3 different keepers in Newcastle, indeed.
I was in the South Bank that day, and if you believe everyone who says, if anyone posts a picture of a newspaper cutting from that game, everyone says, I was there. I think there was only about 13,000 there, but there would be enough to fill the Olympic Stadium with there, who stayed over there.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as seeing Steve Potts' goal against Hull City. Everyone's seen it. It's like, really? You again? It's like, how many thousand?
Say that, Steve Potts, because he would be my next defender.
See? Segue. Nice.
Yeah, he would be either side, because him and the other fellow who I'm going to pick would play either side of Alvin, and so Alvin in the middle, Popsy on the side. Popsy, for me, again, I don't think he got the credit he deserved.
No, totally.
He could read the game very well, and you would have been too young, but we played Luton Town in the semi-final. I think it was the League Cup, Milk Cup, or whatever it was called then. And it was one of the first times away fans had been allowed back at Millwall for many years. West Ham, we had the old end behind the goal, and there was a little fella called Scott Oates for Luton. He absolutely destroyed us that night. But I think he scored an hat-trick. But the ball, big goal kicks come flying over and from their keeper, length of the pitch, and our safest defender, Steve Potts, he could trap an egg and not break it. That day, he went straight under his foot. This little fella, Scott Oates, he went and scored his hat-trick, which is a sad thing to remember.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah, because that's why what started the irrational hatred of Luton. No, I remember. Yeah, Scott Oates. Yeah, I remember him. But yeah, you're right. Potsy was just. Huh?
When do you reckon that was then?
Oh, I can't remember. I remember it. That's the thing. I'm really rubbish. I'm gonna have to Google it at the same time. I'm really rubbish.
Early 90s, I reckon.
It must be. West Luton Town semi-final. Yeah, because I'm rubbish with the seasons. I remember it by shirts. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. Oh yeah, and that's what was great the other day when we interviewed. 90. It was sixth. Was it the quarter final?
Semi-final.
Semi-final.
I thought it was 2 legs.
Yeah, well, there was 94. That was FA Cup. Anyway, someone will make it. We had the 6th round. We lost 3-2 at Luton. But anyway, someone will comment on it anyway and tell us, Danny, afterwards. They always do. Ken Hammers will. He always does. Or Ken Hines, he always does. Steve Potts, what a man, and obviously still in the club, under 23 coach.
Right,
lovely guy.
Yeah,
lovely guy.
Another gentleman.
Yeah, oh, totally, absolute gent. Who is gonna be the other side of Alvin then in that three?
Rio Ferdinand.
Oh, super Rio.
Read the game like a book. Went on to great things. It's a shame he didn't do it with us, but it is what it is. Again, I've got a little story about Rio. My mum, again, when I tell you she used to work there, for a few times he used to drop her home. Something he'd say, "Do you want me to drop you home, Winnie?" And he'd drop her down in Dagenham on Dagenham Heathway Hill. People would go, "Oh, Winnie, that's Rio Ferdinand." Like, right. And she'd say, "Oh, I know. He's quite a good player, and Harry reckons he's going to play for England one day." And people used to say, "Well, he's very good, Winnie." But my mum, he was just little Rio to her.
Yeah.
Mad, but what a great player.
Yeah, and I can imagine your mum as well, because he came up from the youth. She probably seen him go like that, and so it's just Rio. Yeah, lovely bloke.
The only one my mum was in awe of, as I say, was Phil Parkes, because she really fancied him. She'd be nearly, I think she'd be 92 or 93 now. So Phil was sort of 20 years younger.
Yeah,
and I know he loved Trevor Brooklyn, my mum.
Yeah. Oh,
but to be honest, if my father was a woman, I'd love Trevor Brooklyn.
Yeah, you know such a lovely guy, isn't he?
I love Trevor Brooklyn, and I'm a man. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Right, that's your back three. Go on, you carry on, Danny. You go for the team as you want, man.
Right, and then I would go two sort of players that can go every inch of the pitch. Yeah. In front of that back three. Now, Billy Bonds is my all-time hero, and anyone who doesn't pick him, who watched him play, I'm sure no one has. Surely.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I'm sure no one has picked a team and not put Billy Bonds in there. Have they? Has
anyone come up? As you said, if they haven't seen, obviously, because I never saw him play. I saw him as a manager, but never as a player. But he's just synonymous, and it's a generational thing, isn't it? So they say that your best music, the music you loved the most, was when you were a teenager. And I think that's even more true with footballers. So it's and it's really true when you start talking to people and you figure out how old they are and the generational people and the players they put in. It is from an era.
Really sort of he goes above that. He really is worth every accolade that's thrown his way. He really truly is. And again, I've got a little Billy story. When I used to do occasional tours for people, so it'd be on a match day, I'd be in one of the function suites. Billy would be the guest at the end in the change room. And Julia, I don't know if you know Julia, she used to organise all the conference stuff. And she went to me, "Dan." And now I've done it with a few players before, and I was all right. I could just be Danny and have a laugh and a joke. She said, "Now Saturday, I know Billy Bonds is your hero, but you're gonna have Bonds on." I went, "Oh, I can't do it." I just started flapping. I won't be able to sort of talk. And so she went to me, "Don't worry," and come. He turned up an hour early because she told him that Danny's a bag of nerve about meeting the Bill Oliver. And he come up, he hunted me down in front of all the porters. And I sort of stood there like that. It's Billy Bonds on the wall to me. I bricked myself. And he came up, he said, "So you're doing a tour, Dan, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry," he said, "when you bring him in the dressing room," because it used to be a fella, Tony, who used to do most of the tours at the stadium. You might remember Tony. So if he weren't there, or they was guests in the hotel, I would take them all around the hotel, all around the pitch and the dressing rooms and that. But he just put me so at ease. And I took all these people on this tour. Billy weren't there. He waited in the own dressing rooms, which I left till last. And I walked in there and I said, "Right, I've got a special guest." And he jumped out. He went, "Damn me old mate," as if my all-time idol's calling me his old mate, just to put me at ease.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bonzo. And I just sort of stood there like that. I just elevated my all-time hero, sort of saying, "Damn me, mate." I couldn't praise the man highly enough.
Nah.
And I wrote him a poem when he'd done the thing at Southend, and they showed it to him, and then he asked for me to actually. I just wanted to give it to him. He said, "No, present it to me at the end." Oh, absolutely brilliant! What a man! What a player!
What a man! What such a humble man as well.
Oh.
He just really is.
When he walked on that pitch and they named that stand, I don't know about you, but I was sobbing. When everyone was saying, "Oh, Billy Bonds," I was sobbing. I'm quite emotional. That's where the poetry comes from. I'm an emotional person anyway. But I was sobbing. And when I think Billy wiped his eye, that just done me even more.
Especially, I mean, a man who I've never, never really showed emotion on that side, when he's in playing days, and to be, and he just still looks fit as a fiddle, didn't he? And he just he just lost it, wasn't it? And it just showed you how much it meant to him. It was obviously well overdue. We all know that, but they did right and they did it, and it was a fantastic. And obviously Alvin doing the PA as well, and all the players were there, and it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And it's nice when things like that happen. Obviously, we couldn't, obviously with the whole thing with the Bobby stand and the old get, that was too late, and they did it right. They made it right, which was good. Right, okay, Bonzo. Who's going to be the other? You said you're picking two in that sort of box to box role.
Well, this is so he'd be box to box, but also this fella could pick out a pass and everything. Scott Parker, and again, that might not go down well with a lot of people because he left to go to Spurs, but for 2 or 3 years, I think it was 2 years, he literally carried us on his back. He did. I've never seen a player just perform week in, week out like he did. No. And it weren't just up and down. He was sort of threading passes through, he was scoring goals. He was a great player.
He was brilliant.
He was told he needed to go to Spurs to play Wimbledon, and that never really materialised. Because I played for him. And I'm glad to see him doing well as a manager at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, and he could be back. We're filming this on Wednesday, on Tuesday, and you got the championship final tonight. And so obviously when it comes up, when the video comes out, the result will have already happened. But so obviously you got Slav and Julian coming back, and so you might have Scott Parker coming back as well. Yeah. I hope so.
Good luck with all of them. As long as our detriment, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck to all of them.
Yeah, I mean, even Brentford will be good if they come up, because obviously they're new ground, and there's a lot of people I talk to who are West Ham fans who are maybe from West London, and they'll Brentford will be their second team because they'll go and watch them when West Ham are playing, or just if they can't get to the game all the time. Charles, I want a couple of the Brentford players though, so it's not.
Yeah, from a personal point of view, I prefer Fulham to come up. It's a great place to go to as an away fan.
Yeah, you always get a ticket. You can always get a ticket at Fulham, and they've got a new bit.
A nice day, it's lovely over there.
Yeah, and they got the new stuff outside as well, haven't they? They got the bankside, the riverside. They've done a development. Yeah,
absolutely beautiful place to go to.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, Scotty Parker's in, and you're right. I mean, I just think it's funny that some people. The whole thing with Scott Parker and went to Tottenham. Martin Peters went to Tottenham.
Yeah.
And if truth was, but if you believe the rumours, Bobby wanted to go the same time as Martin Peters went to Tottenham.
That as well. I've seen
So, and we put them on this plateau, and in the modern day era, we haven't got many people we can put. On a podium, but Scott Parker, you're right. He kept us up 2 of those 3 seasons.
He was like Noble's. He's played such a big part in Mark Noble coming through the ranks. He was like his little deputy, so to speak.
Yeah,
he played a big part, and I'm sure Noble would sort of say exactly that.
Yeah, and adversely, that sort of relationship is obviously playing out again with Noble and Rice. You can see, and so the influence of Scott Parker has come down sort of twofold. It's not just from Noble, but and obviously Scott did that little. He did the Parker pirouette, wasn't it? The Parker pirouette. That's what he did, and Noble does it, and I saw Declan do it the other day as well. It must be like a rite of passage. He got this little turn.
That's got to be the ultimate thing now. Is Declan going to stay? That is the ultimate sort of test for what we are and where we really want to be.
You're right.
Build the film around that young boy, or build him and buy 4 or 5 pegs in holes, so to speak, or build it around him.
I'd love. I think everyone would do. I'd love him to be different. I'd love him to not go to a big club. I'd love him to be a big fish in a small pond. He's already in the England squad. He's already in the England squad. He could be the man. He could be the next Mark. I'd love him to be the next. 500 games to the club, 10 years, it'd be beautiful. But I mean, he's already played 99 Premier League games for us already, which is incredible for a boy so young. And I'd give him the captaincy. I'd give him another. If you want another 50 grand, give him another 50 grand a week. Build the team around him, make him feel Mr. Big Bollocks, and. He would. He
doesn't even seem like he wants.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Like Mr. Big Bollocks. He seems maybe I look at him wrong. I can remember him coming to Carpenter's pub after a game. I think he might have been after he scored against Arsenal. He'd come in the pub. Everyone's and he's just standing like that, getting pictures with everyone.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a real. It seems to me like a real sort of down-to-earth, grounded fella.
Yes.
But then I watched a clip the other day of a little interview he done on Twitter with Rio and Mason Mount. There was a lot of Chelsea memorabilia behind him.
Yeah.
Which made me think, oh dear.
But he's not. I just had that, but I've had that view of Dec that he's not going to be one of those people of, if Chelsea or even Man United offer some really crap offer for us and try and get us on the cheap, and we go no, he's not going to do a pie and throw his toys out. He knows his worth, and so he's got that love for the club. And Chelsea didn't want him; they got rid of him when he was 14. And
prove them wrong.
Exactly.
For the rest of his career by sort of staying with us. Let's go.
And arguably, if he plays at Chelsea, he ain't going to play in midfield. He'll put him at the back because clearly Frank sees him as John Terry Mark II, and eventually it might be the case. But the thing is, you can go and get a decent centre back. Centre backs are 10 a penny, really, like good ones. That role Declan plays is so unusual and it's so hard to find. You see Man City struggling with, they know Fernandinho's going, so they're trying to buy Rodri's and people like that to play that role that Dec plays. It's very unusual.
It's a very adept role, or whatever you want to work it, and he fits that role perfectly.
Yeah.
And, well, it's just conjecture at the moment. Let's just go.
It is. We'll see what happens.
The first game, we see him come trotting out in our shirt. Captain Noble just say to him, look, here's the armband. You deserve it.
Yeah.
This is you. This is you, son. This is your club. Let's just go.
Yeah, Mark being club captain, Dec being team captain. That seems the right way. Mark will always be our captain, but he's there. But he knows he's not going to play more than a dozen games next season. Again, we say that every season, and then he ends up knocking out 25 appearances. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Scott's in. So we've got your sort of your two. Who's going to be next then, Danny?
So at either side of them, I would have, and they can alternate. They could go either side they wanted to. So not your out-and-out wingers. They could just turn a game on a sixpence. Alan Devonshire, for me, one of the greatest players. I don't know. Do you have the privilege of seeing Devo play?
No, unfortunately, I haven't. I've had the privilege of interviewing him, and he's a phenomenally nice bloke. Yeah. But no, I've never saw. I've seen the clips, but I've heard the legend. But yes,
absolute quality. He come from working in an Uber factory.
It's
just absolutely unbelievable. And without a doubt, again, people of my age, I'm 52, a little bit younger, older. You say them, Alan Devonshire or Anderson, every one of them would take Devo, just slot him in. Great player, used to float across muddy pitches. That was just mud baths, basically.
Yeah, they really were. And that's the thing that surprised. That's the thing I always forget is these players were doing it on bogs, bogs of pitches, and as you said, with the pigeons eating all the seeds and stuff, and all sand, and it's incredible what they could do if there was a way that you could put them on.
The ball was every other boots. They weren't wearing Predators, all that style of boots. Those proper old boots. Big part of them would kick him up in the air. Like players like Devo would get absolutely. Now they'd be nicked for assault. Some of the tackles that used to go flying in the 80s.
Yeah, mental.
But he'd just get up, and sadly he had a bit of a dodgy knee towards the end of his career, which didn't help him. But he was so good.
Yeah.
He was throwing on sixpence, and once he was like a little will o' the wisp. He was. Again, I mentioned Devo in about 4 or 5 different poems. Because he sort of invokes that sort of thing in me, that little will o' the wisp. Absolute genius on the ball.
Yeah. All right, we'll put Dev's in. Okay, who's your next one? And Danny?
Sir Trevor.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was waiting for Sir Trevor to come in.
Devo could alternate. Yeah, it'd be an injustice. Perhaps you could do this one day and you tell everyone, right, no Devonshire, no Parks, no Brooklyn, no Bonds, and then you might get a different outcome. But I think people of a certain age, you're going to get Devo,
of course,
Sir Trevor all day.
Yeah.
And Sir Trevor, what could I say about him? It's just such a little snippet about Sir Trevor. That poem I read earlier, I had it printed at an event, and I wanted to get all the players to sign it, and then I was going to sort of raffle it off £1 a ticket for little Isla. Trevor, in his wisdom, just scribbled all across my poem, saying, God, he wrote 2 Isla, and just written these big long, about 5 lines of stuff. So sorry, and I couldn't say to him, Trevor, you just scribbled all over my poem, or Sir Trevor. I just said, thank you, sir. Walked up, I thought, well, that's that done now then. But then I suppose might be worth a bit more because Sir Trevor scribbled all over it.
Yeah, it's got a bit, rather than just Trevor Brooking, it's got a little dedication to Isla, bless him. I love him. Such a nice bloke as well, isn't he? Such a nice guy.
He's a proper gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Trev's in. Who's next? Who's next, Danny?
Now, you mentioned him earlier, David Cross, for me. It was the first...
Oh, Crossy, yeah.
He threw his name in, I can't remember. It might have been before we started. But he was a proper centre-forward. And I said to you, I went to the FA Cup final in 1980. My first away game was 81 at White Hart Lane. It was a brother-in-law took me. No longer a brother-in-law. He turned out not a very nice bloke. But he took me to that game. And he was actually a Watford fan, the fella that took me. And back then, you could just go to a game, you didn't need a ticket, and you just queue up and go in. But he took me, and we couldn't get in the West Ham in, so we went in the Tottenham in the shelf, what used to be called the shelf. But there was hundreds of West Ham in there anyway. And David Cross, Psycho was his nickname, scored 4 that night and just absolutely blew me away. Proper. And they weren't just, one of them was a volley out of this world, just a proper forward, absolute sort of Tottenham, a new backside, shall we say. I've done well.
You've done well. He's brilliant, and again, and obviously watching a lot of his goals. Obviously, I wasn't privy enough to see him live, but not only that, but again, he's such a nice bloke as well, and the way he interacts on Twitter and stuff with people, he's great. We've had him on the show. I love him. I think he's such a nice bloke, and he has got.
Where's he from? He's got a bit of a.
He's up north somewhere. Yeah, something up north. So I don't know exactly, but he is. He has such an affection for West Ham fans. He credits all his 99 goals to West Ham players, West Ham fans, because when he turned up, he was looking around at Brooking and he was like, I'm out of my depth here. And he credits all of his success to the West Ham fans. And when you're saying people kiss the bad and they're off next week, you genuinely believed what he said.
Yeah, top fella. I've seen him at a couple of events, and he's good. He speaks from the heart, as you say. He's a very genuine human being.
Yes, endearing, very endearing. Right, Crossy's in, Psycho's in, the original Psycho. Who's next?
Just playing off him or all round him, Tony Cottee. Proper little goal poacher. Imagine Cottee feeding off of Crossy, it would just be, well, what a partnership. I could have had McAvenny and Cottee and just gone for the sort of pretty much the standard obvious, But if I chose between Cottee and McAvenny, Cottee was more of a poacher. McAvenny, again, great player and a big part of our greatest sort of season. But in my opinion, again, I might get shot down with it, Cottee was a better goal scorer, a better poacher, probably a better all-round player than Frankie McAvenny. Because I think originally McAvenny was bought as a midfielder, wasn't he?
He was, and Paul Goddard got injured and they threw him up.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. But it was interesting when he interviewed Macca, he said, when Lyle brought him in, when he was talking about where he was going to play him as a 10, and sort of and he says that was a position which in that era there wasn't really that type of position. So even it would have been interesting, even if
you there? You froze, mate. You froze.
Playing in the position that Lyle wanted.
Oh, you keep freezing.
Oh, we're back. Don't worry.
You're saying you're frozen.
Yeah, it just went down. But don't matter. But yeah, no, I mean, Mackie was just he is. It was interesting. What he was saying about his positioning and stuff like that. Basically said things happen, isn't it? Weird, freaky things happen. Goddard got injured. Mackie came in. The rest was history. But yeah, TC.
A brief thing about McAvenny. When I was working there, I was told Frank's doing a thing with a village tonight in the old gaff.
Yeah.
At Upton Park. The village was a company that used to come in and they'd be selling sort of like timeshares out in Spain or something or another.
Yeah.
That was like a recruiting company, and Frank McAvenny was their sort of guest. And I was tasked at about 2 in the afternoon, bearing in mind this thing weren't starting until about 7 at night. Don't let Frank have a drink.
Good luck.
I just sort of said to him, Frank, apparently you're not allowed to have a drink. And he just told me, well, I'm having a drink. He went into the ironworks bar. I'll let him do he's Frank McAvenny at the end of the day. I can't tell him.
You can't tell him
the next day I come into work and the young girl Laura on reception, she went to me, have a look in the ironworks. Frank was zonked out on the sofa in the ironworks. But again, what a character.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah. And obviously TC, incredible man. And also he has an incredible statistical brain. He's a big stats man. And that season apparently there's still something like 17 club records, which are still live today from that season. An incredible season.
Wow.
Right, so we got everyone. Or is there one more?
One more.
Who's the final piece of the
Carlos Tevez.
I've
gone for Di Canio, and there's I'd say if you was to get 100 fans who see them both, I'd say 80 out of the 100 would pick Paolo Di Canio, and maybe rightly so. But for me, I just loved Tevez. I just loved his energy.
Yes.
When we signed him, and I was there, I set up the press room the day we signed him, which probably also endears me to him even more.
Of course, yeah.
I just remember he didn't score, did he, for quite a while?
No.
He just wasn't going to let that stop him. That geezer just ran and run. I just love the fella. And for someone with so much ability, the effort he put in was just phenomenal.
You're right, and it's funny. I've interviewed a few players who were around during that time as well, and the one story I always regurgitate is one that Anton Ferdinand told me, and basically Carlos, more so than Mascherano, Carlos really wanted to integrate himself in the West Ham team. And you get that feeling anyway, just in terms of him as a person. So much so, they went on a night out in London, all of them, James Collins, Anton, that lot. Carlos came along, but obviously didn't speak a word of English. So he came along with his interpreter. So he's on the dance floor, dancing with his interpreter next to him, shouting out, and it's like... honestly, and apparently he was dripping with sweat, because you can imagine if what he was like when he played football to what he was like dancing on a dance floor.
Yeah, but dance floor, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he was, and he said, to be honest, he didn't do it. And there's that Tottenham game, wasn't it, with that goal, and then that freak, and he just dived into the crowd and
into the fans. Oh, special.
Yeah, really special. And I mean that whole season. I mean, obviously the tail end to that season was an incredibly special season.
Right.
The greatest, exactly, and it was just like, and actually, when we spoke before, we was talking about the interview I had yesterday with Mike, with Mick Clifford. He's got the shirt from the Great Escape, and the boots. I don't know how these guys do it, but honestly, he went and he brought it out, and I was like, it's the shirt, because again.
Did you ask him how he gets them?
Nah, a lot of them. I think a lot of them is who he swaps. Whoever they swap the shirt with, he then goes to that person. So sometimes
I find that curious. How you would even you've got to track down the person that swapped the shirt.
He tracks them down. As I said, like he's got David Cross's 1998 FA Cup final shirt. Because he swapped it with whoever, and it might take him 30 years to track them down. Honestly, it'll be up in a few days. The lengths he's gone to, I mean, what's his face to get Graham Paddon's shirt from the final of the Brussels. honestly, it's unbelievable. He had to fly. He flew to Van Els's bar, and honestly, it's incredible. But yeah, Carlos was just that was a special time. And West Ham love although we moaned about the Allardyce years and the Kirbysher years being boring, we do love a bit of relegate, something to fight for, innit? Whether it's relegation or pushing for Europe. I could do though with a 10th, 10th or 11th season, just.
I really believe this season just gone. I have a bet with a mate each season where we're going to finish.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we had a bet in Village's first season. I thought it was going to be a bad season, and the loser had to post a picture, had to go into Sports Director, put a Spurs shirt on, and stand there, that picture, and have that as your Facebook picture, post it every day for a month. And I lost that.
That's brilliant.
So I had to do that and pose in this Spurs shirt, which was painful. I've still got scars from this season's Spurs shirt.
It's like a rash.
This season, I predicted we'd finish top half. And I think he had a score on this bet, and I paid him out at Christmas. I said, "Yeah, there's your money." I said, "No."
It would have been fine. I think without there, as you said, without Roberto buggering up, I think we'd have been all right. It's incredible the effect that one player can have on a team and the manager. I mean, we lost, Pellegrini, but but I think we like it. It's like, even though everyone moans about, since restart, we've had something to fight for. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and they responded, and it was nice when the Villa game came along to sort of sit back and go, we're safe, and then work out exactly, and but work out all the permutations. Oh, if we score another goal, then they're going down and they're staying up. And I was like, I'm so glad I'm not in this it's just
at one point before this virus, when we was all looking at everything, that Villa game, we was all looking, it's all going to come down to that.
Yeah.
And I could imagine Jack Grealish, because whatever people think of him, he's a quality young footballer, isn't he? That fella's top draw.
He's
him coming to us last game of the season before the virus and shut down and all that, and him actually sending us down.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's good to finally have a game where, do you know what? We win. If we don't, we don't. Fair play to Villa. We've actually done. We're safe for another season. But next year, I want a bit more than just that safe. Yeah. Like you, we need to be in the top half of the table.
Yeah. Although I think I would take it like 12th, 13th, up to 15th. I'd take that if we got to a semi-final.
Right now you've hit the nail on the head there. For me. I'd finish fourth from bottom and get to the FA Cup final all day long. And again, we can say, it's a cup final for me. We are West Ham at the end of the day. We're not going to win the league.
No.
Let's go full throttle at a cup. League Cup, FA Cup, I couldn't care less.
No.
Give up that moment and that day, which is just a special day. 1980, I was 12, and as I said to you, that's for me where it all started.
Yeah, that started,
And that, my boy, the Gerrard final, he was in 2006, he was 9. Yeah. But again, he's now, so he was 8 or 9 years old then. And that's embedded in him now. He remembers that day. We might have lost it. It was an FA Cup final.
Yeah. That's what we need, I think, and I think everyone's crying. You're right. We never win the league. It's just those, and we have we do have our cup finals, but not like official ones. So Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, they're our cup finals really, and we always win more than we lose out of them 6 games. But it'd be nice to go to a proper one once in a while rather than and you're right. And it's like when we beat Tottenham, we've got for about 2 or 3 weeks we've got we beat you. Yeah, and that's it. That's all we need. That's that little peak.
Especially if you've got Spurs mates, which I have.
Me too. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, Dan, it's been amazing. I've genuinely loved chatting to you. Obviously, you've been gone for like an hour. It doesn't feel like an hour. That's what I love. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everything's well. And stay safe, man. It's all good. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching.
I enjoy my furniture behind me now. You get that? Your little Boleyn.
Yeah. You can see it, the Boleyn Poet. You got a T-shirt anyway, so you got the T-shirt, you got the name description, and obviously thank you to everyone for watching as well. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. And from me and Danny, take care, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you again very, very soon. Come on, you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Come on, you irons. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Love you all.